silent scream. Heart beat loud in the in-between. World asleep but my mind won't rest. Standing right on tomorrow's edge. Numbers fall and the candles shake. Every risk is a step I take. No applause and no safety net. Just a promise I haven't met. I've been down where the doubt lives loud. I've been lost in the digital crowd. But the signal cuts through the noise and it pulls me now. I'm standing on tomorrow's edge. I jump anyway. No guarantees, but I'm on my way. If I fall, I rise. That's the game I play. Tomorrow's edge. I jump anyway. Late night glow from a silent screen. Heartbeat loud in the in-between. World asleep but my mind won't rest. Standing right on tomorrow's edge. Numbers fall and the candles shake. Every risk is a step I take. No applause and no safety net. Just a promise I have. I've been down with it loud. I've been lost in a digital crowd. But the signal cuts through the noise and it pulls me now. I'm standing on tomorrow's edge. I jump anyway. No guarantee, but I'm on my way. If I fall, I rise. That's the game I play. Tomorrow's edge. I jump anyway.
Here we go. Oh man, I feel like diving a little bit to the music before I start with the live stream. Maybe I must make the intro a little bit longer, 15 minutes, okay? And then I can at least listen to these songs. My brother produced these songs for me, in case you were wondering, because I always get comments after the live stream, personal DMs from people saying, hey, please, can I, where do I look for that song? Is it on iTunes? Is it on Spotify? No, guys. These songs you'll only get here on the live stream. It is music that my brother produces for me, specifically for YouTube. See, we're getting a little bit of dumpy action over here. There is a specific scenario that I like the most that I'm going to discuss here. Okay. Remember to smash up that like button. In case you're wondering, yes, I did see a comment from someone saying you prefer the morning streams. Guys, Andy's still traveling. He's moving countries. I mean, it's not a, you just fly and, you know, you settle in. He's moving. So I'm still standing in for Andy today, filling his slot because this is the busy slot. This is where the most people join the live stream during the New York open time slot. Okay, so as soon as Andy is back on his feet and he's settled in and he's got his studio set up, he'll be back. He'll be back. But for now, I'm filling the slot. Okay, so remember to gently tap that like button on your way in. Let's do some technical analysis here on the price of Bitcoin. I was really hoping the price was going to fall a little bit more here because now, ooh, I see it's opening up the door to maybe another possibility over here. I just want to see what CVD is doing. Yeah, CVD is crashing at the moment. CVD, there's a lot of shorts entering now. There's a lot of shorts entering. Okay. Here on the yellow line, on the buy bit, we call it the bro line. Okay. Loads of shorts entering here at the moment. But if price continues, we're going to go through the scenarios and maybe I'm going to change the flavor today of the live stream. Let's first hover around here on the 15-minute, 5-minute time frame and talk about, well, what happened here? Oof, what happened here? Okay. And what needs to happen next for the bulls to stay in control? I must say it's not looking so great for the bulls at the moment. It's not an invalidation, but I don't like that this range is becoming so long. Okay, I wanted for the bulls, what you really wanted to see for the bulls for continuation to the upside is that this needed to be the end and you wanted to see continuation here to the upside. A, B, C, and then you continue. And then you do it again, and then you continue. It would have been great to see that. And now, it's not looking so good for the bulls at the moment. But guys, I'm going to show you, as per the thumbnail, this is what needs to happen next for the bulls to stay in control. Okay. Sometimes it just is what it is, and the bullish scenario is going to play out. But we had a nice little push here to the upside. And as you all know, I was in a long, okay, from over here. I rode it all the way here to the upside. And I think round about this zone is where I stuffed up. I stuffed up, guys. No, I'm not scared to admit that I stuffed up over here. Because instead of just taking, I wanted to take a little bit more profit. Okay, I closed my position. Because you all know yesterday in the stream, I showed everyone that I had a long over here. I took profits on the way up, took some profits. Okay, price moved up. I took some more profits as we hit resistance over here. Price pushed up. And when we hit that 0.7 Fibonacci here to the top side, that's where I accidentally closed my trade. So I had a chat with Andy this morning. I just told him, bro, you know, because Andy sent me a message to say, hey, bro, dear Walt, what an amazing entry you have there to the downside. And I said, Andy, you will not believe it. I accidentally closed the position. But guys, you know, I did close the position with profits. Okay, you can see last night I still posted this update while price was pushing it to the upside, where I told everyone I'm about to get stopped out of my short. Okay, but I have been taking profits here on the way up for this amazing long that I'm in. Got stopped out of the short with profits, by the way, guys. I got stopped out of the short with profits, okay, and closed my long by mistake. It happens, guys, but at least I really wanted to leave a runner to the upside. Okay, I mean, what if we go and tap $75,000, $76,000? I wanted to take advantage of that little squeeze to the upside. Anyways, I did make some decent profits with these two trades, and now I'm in no trade at the moment. I am now looking for a fresh trade. Okay, and I told the guys this morning, you guys can see how I've been just keeping the people up to date last night. What I'm seeing as price was pushing here to the upside, I showed everyone there's no weakness. There's no weakness. Price is still going to continue here to the upside. Price is shooting up. CVD is falling down, which means that people are trying to short like crazy, which means it's going to go up, and it still continued to the upside. Okay, showed everyone that little bit of liquidity that I would like to see grab to the upside, and that's basically where price grabbed the liquidity and it stopped. And now we're seeing the correction at the moment. Okay, just to show you guys how I was keeping the community up to date, showing them areas of resistance that I see to the upside. And then, yeah, this is basically where I told everyone, we all do stupid things. I just closed my long by mistake. Okay, as we were hitting this resistance over here, I closed my long by mistake, because you guys know me by now. And if I'm in a long and price hits resistance, I take profits. It's my rule. I have to. I don't have a choice. My rule says if you're in a long and you hit resistance, you take some off the table. Well, I took a lot off the table. Damn well closed my position. Okay. Right, but still happy the trade played out, and that's what all that matters at the end of the day. And then just before I went to bed, okay, I told the guys the two levels that I'm watching at the moment is the 0.7 Fibonacci and the 0.786. Can you guys see that? Yes, you can see that. Okay. And that is basically where we started slowing down, and I went to bed by that time. And well, now we are where we are. Okay, price is now consolidating here at the moment. Oh, and in case I posted this picture to the community, just saying, guys, well, if you want to know what it looks like here behind the scenes, okay, this is basically my setup here behind the scenes where I'm live here at the moment, just for fun, guys. You know, there's my mic. It's this mic that you see over here. I've got my laptop. I use Mac. I think it's Mac M3 Pro. I think so. Can't remember exactly. Does what it needs to do. I've got my two 32-inch monitors and then my studio lights that basically lights up my face, and you guys can see if I put them off, well, it's very dark here in the room. Okay, so I need these lights so you guys can see me clearly and we can look each other in the eye. Okay, and right, so now let's get on to the technical analysis. I am looking for a fresh trade, but I need to see what I need to see before I will enter any trade. I'm not just going to trade for the sake of trading, guys. I need to see the structure that I want to see before I'll enter a trade. And where price is at the moment, I'm not interested in any trades. Okay. So, but let's analyze the structure. Remember to smash up the like button. If you want to be part of this amazing community where I post all the updates, okay, link always, guys, down in the description. First link down in the description. Let me zoom in so everyone can see it clearly. DM me the word access, okay, only that word, on Telegram. Here's the link for my Telegram if you don't know how to find me, okay. DM me the word access to this link and follow the instructions and you'll get access to our community. Okay, there is some requirements. You can go and read it. It's all here, guys. You can read exactly what is required. You can read my disclaimer. And as always, I have to spell it out there. There's a full disclaimer in my YouTube description. I'm not a financial advisor. I encourage you to do your own research. I am showing you how I approach the markets. Even the trades that I share, okay, how I'm approaching the market over here is how I approach the market. Okay, I like to say this is not a signals channel. Okay, this is where we teach people how to fish so that you can eat for a lifetime. But I do share when I get into trades, how I get into the trades, how I manage my risk, where I'm taking profits. Okay, and this is why I share these little screenshots. And I told everyone, guys, I'm not bragging. Okay, when I share these little screenshots, I am posting the updates every step of the way so that people can see, okay, that's why Devil entered there. Now he's got a hedge. Now that's where he's taking profits from the long, and that's where he's taking profits from the short. Okay, so it's an education to show you, well, how do you, how do you approach this market? How do you trade? How do you stay profitable? Okay, remember to smash up that like button. Let's get the technical analysis on the way. So I'm just going to spend a little bit time here on the 15-minute time frame while price is doing what it needs to do over here. So the most bullish case scenario, okay, for bulls to see continuation to the upside, this was a scenario that I highlighted this morning to the community, guys, because they get the alpha first, okay, nested 1-2s. So basically let me just make sure that everyone can see it. There we go. Legends, thanks for being here. Devil, absolute pleasure, man. I actually need to say hi to the community quick, but let me first tackle the 15-minute time frame and then I'll jump into some comments. Okay. How can you close a trade by mistake if you're supposed to be a pro? I double and triple check before executing. Yes, the problem was it was late for me and I was tired. That was my problem. I realized that I had a headache. It was a long day. For some reason, I had a headache. I was, updating the community. And guys, sometimes it happens. You click the wrong button. We're all human. We make mistakes. But most importantly, I made profits. Okay. Doesn't matter, guys. I took most of the profits. One of my rules, by the way, is that I always tell people my approach to the market is when I see a 1, 2, 1, 2, and a 3, that is the best wave to trade. I usually don't care about the 4 5s. That's where I start looking for shorts. So I took most of the advantage of this move. Okay, so happy. It was a mistake, but I made money. Okay, I didn't make a mistake that cost me money. So guys, don't be like that. You're a pro. You're supposed to know better. We all make mistakes, guys. I still make trading mistakes as well. The reason I am profitable is because I minimize my mistakes. I make less of them. Okay. Right. So from a bullish case perspective, guys, please excuse me. I just need to put my AC on because this office with the lights is getting very hot. Just give me a second. Let me just do this. Right, we're back. Sorry, guys. I'm literally sweating here in front of the lights. Let's go. Okay, so yes, you guys can hear me. Right, there we go. In this scenario, what price needs to do is not tap the invalidation. So for the bulls, because you have a double 1, 2 over here, you now need to see a repeat of the structure to the upside. And I discussed this yesterday as well. When price was here, I said, guys, what you want to see for the bulls to start taking control, price needs to accelerate to the upside with increasing volume. So we don't really have volume spikes over here, but the average volume did increase. So most volume does sit in this move. Okay. And now what you want to see is a 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. So you still want to see a triple top here to the upside. Okay, we already have the first top, so we still need 2 more tops here to the upside in order to consider the structure being bullish to the upside. Invalidation for the scenario is claiming the 0.618. And you can see we are literally holding the 0.3 over here at the moment. So as long as price can hold this zone, there's a chance to still move up. Come back down, go back up. Okay, but I'm still very interested in shorts. If I see the structure do what I'm showing you that it could do here to the upside. Okay. Right, so I did see some social influencers or YouTube influencers post, was this the biggest fake bear? Was this the biggest bull trap yet and we're going to fall here to the downside? The one thing that I do not like about the scenario, but this, guys, this is your invalidation, okay? From a channeling perspective, and I'm not going to do it perfect, I'm just going to do it rough over here, but from a channeling perspective, okay? What you want to see and what happens most often, okay? You form your 1, 2s, that gives you your channel, and then you want the impulse to finish outside of the channel. So you ideally want to see a 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, not tapping the bottom of the channel. And now look at this. Price is now trading outside of the channel. So this, unfortunately, is starting to impact probabilities for this. Okay, so I'm not saying it can't happen, guys. This is not an invalidation. It's just it's impacting probabilities, because most often 8 out of 9 out of 10 times, the impulse finishes outside of the channel without tapping the bottom. And now we have that. So that's why, I started the live stream saying it's not looking so great for the bulls anymore. You really want to see continuation, okay, without tapping the bottom of the channel. So it's not an invalidation, but it's just something to keep in mind. Okay. Right. I mean, yeah, it was beautiful. You have your 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay. And that's why I said that ABC, I highlighted it this morning. I said, guys, there's a chance that this could be finished. Ideally, you actually want it to be finished here to get continuation to the upside. And now we are back inside of a range. Okay. We are back inside a range. So the scenarios that now become interesting. Okay. Let me just wrap up the scenario and I'll go on to the next one, because based on the current price action, there's not a lot of scenarios that could play out over here. But once I see this, I will be very interested in shorts. When I zoom out into the 1 hour time frame, okay, and we see, well, where can the structure end if it had to play out like this, is that what I like to do is take a fib, trend-based fib, from the low of the structure to the high of the structure to this low. Okay, you basically take it from the low to the high to the low point of the structure. You drag it across. Now this is where it becomes interesting. Okay, you can see more or less where this is ending. Okay, this target looks a little bit shallow. The 0.618 is a minimum target, but it's rare. 786 a little bit more common. So if the structure still had to push up here, well, it also has confluence with that high. So I will treat this high as a SFP. So if price continues to the upside and it fails to break above, it leaves a wick behind and it starts trading below, that is a sign of weakness. That is definitely where I will attempt a swing short to the downside. Okay, because I know enter, stop loss, and yes, guys, this could get nasty. You could come and claim the low again. You could. Okay, you could. But you guys know me by now. I think the community also knows me by now. There's no ways I'm only taking profits if price gets there, because it could still do that. Okay, so definitely profits on the way down, depending on, but there's still a lot that needs to happen, and I'll keep the community up to date. The most common C-wave target is the 1-to-1 extension. 70, let's call it around little, $75,000. This could still extend. Maybe these 3, 4s, 5s is a little bit higher. Okay, I will definitely treat this as a swing failure line. I just want to see from a larger time frame perspective if we have some confluence. Let's get here onto the 4-hour time frame. Okay. I just want to see something. If I take a fib from this high to the low, you can also see that that 1-to-1 extension aligns with a 0.382. So you have some Fibonacci confluence. You also have the underbelly resistance. When we consolidated here, that's where we lost price to the downside. So this can definitely act. Okay, well, this is resistance. That's a resistance area. Okay. Also a shorting opportunity. Right, and for those of you that didn't know, that's also where if I drag this fib up, well, one more pivot, when I entered this long over here, okay, when I entered that long over here, this is also why I took profits at this Fibonacci level, because look at how we got rejected over there. These Fibonacci levels, guys, are powerful. We actually had a little bit of a golden ratio Fibonacci discussion in the community this morning. Right, let's get back here onto the 15-minute time frame. Okay, now, can take this out. Right, so in this scenario, you basically still want to see 2 tops. Invalidation should not be claimed. Okay, so if price still comes down and it holds the 50%, now that to me will be an interesting long. If it can hold the 50%, that would be an interesting long. Okay, I know price is outside of the channel, so it doesn't carry high probability, but I know that you could still get a bounce here and at least make one more high, which now brings me to the next scenario that could play out over here. Okay, so let's switch this one off. And let's talk about this scenario. This is the bearish case scenario. You are basically still busy with a WXY. Okay, this is also, I think this was a scenario that I spoke about yesterday. We just have a nice little extended A wave here to the upside, but you basically have a 3-wave structure in a W. You have a X, and now you're forming your A, your B, and you go up for one more high. Okay, I'm keeping an eye on these levels. You can see we did front run the 1.382. So you guys can see for me, it's, you know, the structure is not in a place where I want to place a trade yet. It needs to come down, then I'm interested. Or if I miss the long, it needs to go up, then I'm interested in a short. Okay. The reason I'm also very interested in a short in this zone is because when you keep it simple, okay, let's switch this off and I go onto the 1 hour time frame and I do, guys, I just want to put the music a little bit softer here in the background. Okay, there we go. There we go. Right, and I take a fib from this pivot to the low. Well, now that is where we got the reaction yesterday, and this is something that I pointed out to the community last night. Okay, I said, guys, we're getting a reaction at the 786. When we had that first week, or we tapped it for the first time, I saw the reaction. I was like, okay, maybe that's a point where we're going to start turning around. This was also where all that liquidity was. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm going to see it now, but I pointed it out here to everyone. Look at this liquidity. Let me do this. Switch this back. Sorry, guys. There we go. It would be nice to go and squeeze out that liquidity, and that's exactly what price did, but it also aligned with this little area over here, and that's where we started getting a reaction. So regardless of what I know about Elliott wave theory, I know that there's a chance that price could reject at the 786 and you form a double top and you fall down. So definitely a zone that I will be keeping an eye on. Also that little pivot, swing failure from that pivot. So again, I hope I'm showing you that you don't need to know Elliott wave theory in order to take trades. You just need confluence. Let me just put myself back here. Okay, all you need is confluence. Because now from an Elliott wave perspective, I know that this range is becoming long and it's lost the channel. So there's a chance that maybe you only make a double top. Maybe you only do that. Okay, and then that gives you a WX ABC. Done. And it falls down. Okay, sorry guys, I know based on all the social media and X and the thumbnails that's out there, I know that everyone has just gone super bullish at the moment. I have to discuss the bearish case scenarios as well. Okay, if price turns out to be super bullish and it continues, I want to see that. I want to see that. Okay, that will, if price keeps on chopping here to the upside, guys, these structures, if this had to play out, is my most profitable structure. Whenever there's a double 1-2 or a triple 1-2 and it makes those triple tops to the upside, when I look at my trading journal, that's where I make the most money. It's my favorite structure to trade. So I want price to continue because I know exactly where to short this structure. And I've been very successful in trading these little nested structures. They're very easy for me to trade. And I'll keep the community up to date if I do jump into a trade, if this had to play out. So I want to be bullish because I love the structure and I want to trade the structure. But I also need to be realistic and say, well, what is on the other side of the token? What is on the other side of the coin? What if it doesn't get there? What if it doesn't make those triple tops? What else can this be? Well, this can be a WXY that's forming over here. Okay, that's it. So you're not going to get the triple tops. You basically have formed a three-wave structure in a W, a X, and a A, B, C. Claim the high, fall down. Okay. So I don't want to wait for there. I don't want to wait for that. Okay, I want to wait. I'm going to see how price reacts when it claims this high, because if price starts pumping over here and it loses steam and there's bearish CVD building up and it starts trading back below this low, okay, that's going to be interesting for me to consider a short. Yes, it could still 4-5 again, but I can still make money with that little momentum to the downside. Okay, and then I'll look for a new short. Right, there's a couple of variations of how this B wave can play out. Okay, let's put this off. I think I've just basically analyzed this structure. I said, guys, this can be a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think we tapped the invalidation. 5. We claimed the invalidation. Unless, okay, the range continues and maybe it's a very straight line. It doesn't look pretty. Okay, maybe, just maybe it does this. The triangle, I just don't like triangles, guys. I don't like them because everyone looks at them and they usually have low probability of playing out. You get the fake out to the upside, you get the fake out to the downside. Yeah, you know, I could move the invalidation there and say, well, okay, maybe we're forming a larger triangle. So you have your A, your B, your C, your D, your E, and then we break to the upside. I'm very happy to miss this trade. I will look for the short. Very happy to miss this trade. I do not like this triangle. Okay, the first thing that's disturbing for me looking at this triangle is if I go onto the 5-minute time frame. Hell, we can even go into the 1-minute time frame. This is just something that I spotted this morning. Okay, so bear with me. If this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's a problem. That's a problem for me. That's a problem. And the reason I say it's a problem is because it's a three-wave structure. Okay, I mean, even on the 1-minute time frame, it just looks like a three-wave structure, guys. This looks like a 1, 2, 3, ABC. 5 waves, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a wave A. You have a 3-wave structure in a B. And then you have your sharp C to the upside. This looks like a 3-wave structure. It needed to do that. If it did this, I would have said, okay, maybe it ended over here. So this is why this triangle doesn't make sense for me. Okay, it looks way better for me to count this as a WX, some sort of a WXY, where, let me see if I have it. Here we go. Now this looks better. It's still a triangle, but I like it more because the waves makes more sense. Let's go back onto the 5-minute. Guys, and I know this is very, very technical. I know that this is very technical. Okay, but this scenario I like the most. You have formed an A, B, C in a W. Now that works way better. It just technically it looks better. It looks cleaner. There's no mistakes. Okay, and now you have formed a 3-wave structure in a B, a C, a D, a E, and now we could fall down. Okay, so I can actually now place this foot where it needs to go. There we go. So if this had to play out, now this is where longs become interesting to me if price breaks down. So if price does break down over here, I want to now see a 1, 2, 3-wave structure to the downside. A, B, C, like what happened here, A, B, C. I want to see a 3-wave structure to complete wave Y. Targets for your Y, 0.618, 786, 1-to-1. There's many targets, but what I like to do is then combine it with the biggest structure to say that, well, where's the biggest area of confluence? Well, if I zoom into this structure, take a fib from the low to the high. Okay, now that's where you start getting some confluence. The 50% at the moment is just standing here all by its lonesome. So you could get the fall, the bounce, it rejects, scene of the crime, people are shorting, yeah, the triangle is breaking down, shorting like crazy people, okay, and then it falls and it could bounce in the zone. And then, fake out, damn it, didn't take profits, okay, because a W, X, Y gives you a B, and you can still go up for a C. And then you fall down. So I still want to take advantage of that move, but I need to see this. If I don't see this, I'm not taking the trade. It's as simple as that. I am not interested in a long where price is at the moment unless it gets here. Then I'll observe the reaction. I hope that makes sense. I'm very happy to miss a long from here. And if price wants to continue up, well, then I'm going to look for a short. I'm happy to miss the long. But if price comes down here, I'll be interested in the long. Guys, I just need to see what I want to see before I take a trade. I'm not going to risk my capital on speculation. That's my plan. This is my plan. If price comes here, I'll be interested in a long. If price comes here, I'll be interested in a short. So price has to come to my area of interest. If price goes up first, that's my area of interest for a short. If price goes down first, that's my area of interest for a long. For me, that's how I trade. So where price is at the moment, unless you have a strategy to trade this, then by all means, there's nothing wrong with executing according to your plan. I'm just sharing with you how I approach the markets. Okay, hope that makes sense. Remember to smash up that like button. Welcome to the live stream. Great to see everyone here. Hope you're having a fantastic Thursday. Okay, I'm trying to keep the energy high over here. Afternoon slot standing in for Andy. He's still unpacking and traveling. I believe he's still flying somewhere or unpacking, getting his house unpacked, I suppose. Maybe getting a sleeping bag ready to sleep tonight. I'm not sure how organized he is, but guys, I'm here standing in for Andy. I'm sure maybe tomorrow or over the weekend he'll be back in action. Okay. And right, for anyone having troubles with managing mistakes, first of all, it proves you are human. Secondly, a mistake is not a failure, it is information. I agree, Rudy. Definitely, that's how you learn as a human being. Okay, that's how you get contrast. That's how you learn what not to do. Right, Devil, can I ask, when I double 1-2, how you use fib extension for third wave target? Yeah, double 1-2s, guys, are not easy from a Fibonacci perspective. They're really not easy from a Fibonacci perspective. Okay, I usually, when I see nested 1-2s, the easiest thing for me to do with nested 1-2s, let's go back here. It's a really good question. It's a really good question because I wondered the same thing when I studied Elliott wave theory, and I was just like, how do you measure it? It doesn't make sense. Okay, usually when I see this, okay, double 1-2, I tend to stay away from the Fibonacci levels unless you have higher fibs where you're looking at the entire structure. What I try and look for instead is to see a repeat of that. So you have the push, okay, with high volume. There's no candle spikes over there, but the average volume did increase. And then you look for that. I'm looking for that structure to repeat to the upside. Because you have two tops, you need to have a triple top at the top. It's basically a double top. So you have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, okay, 4, 5, 4, 5. So it's basically a double top, but people will look at it and say it's a triple top. Okay, because that's where your third wave, that was your third wave. So I tend to not use fib extensions for nested 1-2s. I just wait for the structure. I'm waiting for those tops. Okay, if it's a normal impulse, it's very easy to get the targets. If this was a 1, 2, 3 and it did not do that, then usually that's a very easy target. You do the fourth wave and you go up for 5. It's very easy to calculate that. But nested 1-2s, guys, they can get very aggressive to the upside. They can go. They literally can go. Okay, this is why I did not short anything last night. I was just taking profits from my long. Okay, I was taking profits all the way up, just smiling, taking profits until I closed my position by mistake. But at least, okay, I closed at a decent area and I made a decent amount of profit. So I'm happy that I had a winning trade. Not so happy that I closed it by mistake because I wanted to leave a runner. But anyways, it is what it is, guys. I still made money. Okay. Now that price is falling to the downside, now it becomes interesting. Because I am interested to get back into a long. Now that price is falling. Okay. I know some people are counting this as a one. Whoops. Let me grab this. I have to talk about this. Okay. I did see this count. I did see this count. It's not an invalidation. It's just rare to see this, guys. It's very rare. But in the scenario, you expect a correction and continuation. Okay? The problem with the scenario, your third wave is very short. It is at least longer than the first wave. So the scenario is not invalidated. This could very well be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You do have the highest amount of volume in the third wave. It's very short. It barely scratched the 1-to-1 extension compared to the first wave. And then you have a extended fifth wave. Guys, the reason I don't talk about these scenarios is because of how rare they are. They are incredibly rare. Okay, and I can actually show you a recent example as well. Okay. People counted this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extended fifth wave. And now price took the high because you wanted to see a correction and continuation. Okay, so it's not great, guys. It's not, extended fifth waves are not great. Okay, I cannot, maybe Mr. Joan can help me here. I'm not sure if there's a percentage in terms of how often they play out. Okay, could be 2%, 1% of the time you see them. So that's why I don't even like to talk about these type of scenarios. But there's another scenario on the higher time frame where this is your A. Okay. You come back down for a B. You go back up for a C. Okay, and then people are like, I told you it's a 5-wave structure. We got the bounce. And then it falls down. Okay, I will talk about that scenario in a moment. But I think, you know, this is now the juicy detail as here on the 15-minute, 5-minute time frame. Okay, so I don't want to go to the higher time frames just as yet because there could be a trading opportunity for me that's unfolding right in front of my eyes. Okay. Lil Deal literally closed his position at the top. So I would say that was, so I would say this was a mistake. Yeah, not closing the position could have been a mistake. Okay, guys, but I was already, yeah, when I closed my position, or when I took profits, yeah, on the way up, I already had 80% profits. So I was planning to leave like 10% to run to the upside. So I already took majority of the profits. I just, you know, sometimes you click the damn close button, okay, or you don't look what you are doing. So I did close at the right place because now look at what happened. Look at what's happening. Okay, but interested in a new trade. So I think what is interesting here for me is, let's go back to, no, this one is invalidated, guys. Invalidated. Okay, so I'm going to delete it. I just didn't like that triangle. From the start, I was just like, I don't like it. Okay, I also don't like this extended fifth wave. I really don't like it. It's just low probability, guys. The one that looks interesting is this one. Now, this looks interesting to me. The most interesting scenario for me is a W, X, Y. That is the most interesting. In Y, you are now forming an A, B, C. I'll be looking for a short. This for me is the most interesting scenario at the moment. This can go low. this can fall, guys. This can still go A, B, C. It can get aggressive to the downside. But the targets for a W, X, Y, most common target for a W, X, Y is inside of this box. That's your most common target. 1-to-1, yes, all the time. I see that often. And now the 786. I think I need to change the Elliott wave rules in the book. I need to write Mr. Robert Prachter a mail and tell him, dude, do you know how well that number gets respected in Bitcoin? Because I know Elliott wave theory is based on stock markets, commodities, S&P 500, NASDAQ, okay? But that 786 level on Bitcoin in WXYs gets respected so often. Okay. So in a nutshell, this is now the level that I'm watching. Okay. For me to consider a long, I want price to fall in a three-wave structure. Okay. That's usually a rare target for a WXY, but it can happen. So that's also why I'm not expecting price based on this structure. I'm not expecting price to just fall. I'm expecting a bounce. And this is why I'm interested in a long. Okay. So we might get it here on the stream, but I think, you know, you have your, look at this, you have an A, B, C in W. Okay. And this can repeat itself. You can do that. I know I drew it very ugly there. Okay, I know. Sorry guys, I drew it so ugly there. Okay, let's do it properly. Devil, do it professionally. Okay. A, B, C. Let's do that. Okay, let's make it a little bit thick so everyone can see it. Let's make it white so it's nice and okay. This is what could happen here. Okay, I can actually take that red one out there. You basically want to see a repeat of this. That needs to repeat over here. If price starts slowing down, choppy, overlapping, especially if you start overlapping this pivot, okay? Now that could look interesting for long. And I think, you know, to keep it simple, what you could do is to say that, okay, from a simplicity perspective, what you could do is you could have that as your trend. Now that is a beautiful trend, ladies and gentlemen, if I have to say so myself. Now that is a nice juicy looking trend. Okay, so what you could do, and I can tell you guys now, this trend has saved me a couple of times. Okay, because usually what I will tell people is you don't have to care about what happens here. You just wait for momentum to shift. Because as long as price wants to fall to the downside, let it fall. You're not interested. But if price starts slowing down, it chops around, okay, it starts overlapping, it breaks out, there's a good chance it could continue and at least take the high. Maybe that's how I'm going to trade it. But this is now just the first drop. It's still going to take a while for this to play out. Okay, guys, I'm talking about a day trade here, okay? Maybe it can turn into a 2 or 3 day trade, okay? Maybe it falls here, it slows down. Maybe I play the SFP, depending on whether I'm sleeping or not. Guys, I do not stay awake for the charts anymore. I used to in the beginning, you know, stare at the chart, cup of coffee, Red Bull, play, whatever you have, you know, and then the next day you just keep on losing money because you're walking around like a zombie. You can't focus. That's also why I made that mistake yesterday of closing my long, is because I was tired. Okay. But, right, if I am sleeping during all of this and price does that and I'm awake and I see that, I will attempt a long. Okay, but I will keep the community up to date if I am awake. Okay, because this could happen early tomorrow morning. Because this is usually the time where I wake up. 4:15, 4:30. This is when I wake up. So if I do see some action over here, I will update the community. Maybe we'll catch it still tonight before we go to bed. Devil, see you at 71.4k. 71.4k. Yeah, well, still definitely a possibility, guys. So if I take the mess here out the charts, okay, and I take a fib from the low, and I'm specifically using that high, I'm just giving the bulls the benefit of the doubt. And you'll see why I'm giving the bulls the benefit of the doubt. Well, I don't even have to do this. I've actually got it prepared. Nested 1-2s. Okay, yes. So Devil, see you at 71.4, and you're showing me Zats in your profile picture. Okay, yes, this scenario has not been invalidated. The invalidation is claiming the 0.618. That's your invalidation. What does not look nice about the scenario is that you've lost the channel. Okay? You've lost the channel. And most often, most commonly, what you want to see is your impulse to finish without tapping the bottom of the channel. And now you've lost the channel. It's not looking great. And because we've lost the channel, I'm giving a higher probability that maybe you take out the high one more time and you don't see that. Guys, I'm a probability trader. Based on how price action develops, I determine probabilities of each scenario. So although the scenario has not been invalidated, the probabilities has now shifted lower. So now the higher probability scenario for me is to say, well, instead of that, the one that now carries higher probability is this. Because of this, you could still bounce, take out the high, but reject. So, and what does that look like? Just technically, what does that look like? Very, I'm seeing it here now as well. Price loses the trend. Price is losing the trend. It breaks down, it comes back for a retest, and it continues momentum to the downside. You basically claim the high and you reject. It's very uncommon for an impulse to continue when I see that. So now I'm giving this corrective structure a higher probability. Guys, I'm not being bearish because I want to be, and I'm being bullish because I want to be. I have to trade what the market is showing me. And that is what's kept me profitable as a trader. I can tell you guys now, when price was here, I was super bullish. I was like, whoa, it can still continue. But it didn't. And then it did this. Now I'm not so bullish anymore. Because the structure shows me what it wants to do. And this is not a super bullish sign. Yes, you can still go and claim the highs. Yes, you can still make the triple tops. But this now for me carries lower probability. So it can still happen. And this is why I'm talking about it. If there was a scenario that got invalidated, I wouldn't have spoken about it. So yes, sometimes the market surprises you and it just says wab up, yeah, to the upside. Okay, but I just have to determine probabilities based on the structure that is unfolding in front of me. And based on the structure that is unfolding, I will take shorting and longing opportunities. Guys, and I must say, because, some people will diss me. It's fine, I don't care, because I know that my strategy has kept me profitable. I have taken a long over there and I took profits at the highs. I also entered a short at the highs, took profits from my short. Okay, I also entered a short over there, took profits from my short. I entered a long over there. And I showed all of these trades in the stream, guys. You can go watch the other live streams. I showed everyone the trades. Okay. I mean, no trade at the moment because I took profits from all my trades. And I told everyone yesterday I had a trade over there. Okay. If you don't believe me, go check yesterday's live stream. I was in a trade over there. A long. And I closed my position by mistake over there. I wanted to leave a runner and I closed it by mistake, but it was still a beautiful trade, guys. It was a beautiful trade here to the upside. Okay, and I'm not going to brag about how much money I made. I'm trying to show you how I approach the markets. And all of these trades were taken based on probabilities. Okay. So I'm not saying that I'm right, guys. I'm not saying that I'm right or wrong. That's not the discussion for me. It's not about being right or wrong. It's for me about looking at the structure and saying, well, damn, son, that looked bullish. Now this does not look bullish anymore. Can we go to 72K? Yes, we can still go there. Okay. Maybe this is just going to be an extended C wave. It can do that. You know, I have to remember, it can do that. Okay, C can extend. But I'm not expecting a triple top anymore. I'm expecting this high to be claimed and fall down. So yes, price can still get there. Can get to the 1.618. It's not a common C wave target, but I have seen it tap. Definitely a possibility. Okay. So, yeah, that's basically how I approach the markets. Okay. I think this price action is the most interesting at the moment, legends. It's just to see, well, how is price going to react here? Okay. Because I'm actually interested in longs. I know, you know, most people are jumping into shorts. If you're a trend line trader, okay, you must probably have your trend here. Okay, that's your trend. Okay, let's take all the mess here out the chart. Let's just keep it simple. If you're a trend line trader, let me make this nice and thick so everyone can see it. There we go. There we go. Okay, so basically if you're a trend line trader, this is your setup. Okay, you enter the breakout, stop goes above the recent highs, and you TP yourself all the way down. That's your setup. You are breaking down with high volume. Okay. And you might be thinking that I'm absolutely crazy for trying to look for a long here. What if price just falls here to the downside? Can happen. Definitely can happen. You're losing momentum. And this is not a sign of strength, by the way. That is not a sign of strength. That's a sign of weakness. You're losing momentum. So the safest way for me to get into a long is to say that, well, usually, and this is how I used to trade my D-line strategy, or still trade my D-line strategy. Okay. You now have another trend. So now you're tracking the momentum. You enter a short. Okay, this is how some traders, I see how they trade it. You have your stop loss outside of the trend. And as long as price stays below this trend, you just let it go. You let it go. As soon as it taps the trend and it breaks out, you close the trade. That's one way to trade. I know a very successful trader that trades this way. They don't know where they take profit is. They know why they're entering. They know where to put their stop loss, but they don't know where they're going to take profits. They do know when they are going to take profits, and when is the trend. They will leave the trade running to the downside. Okay, and maybe if it falls here, then sometimes what they will do is they will have a steeper trend running to the downside. Okay, and then if this one breaks, they could say, okay, I'm going to close 50% of the trade. You still have this trend running there. Okay, if this one breaks, then they close the trade completely. So here's another trading strategy, and I used to trade. This was my first profitable strategy that I used to use. You just track momentum. That's it. Let's go, legends. Nah, it's just a correction before we move up more. Yeah, I'm also leaning in Viking. I'm also leaning in that boat at the moment. I'm not trusting the breakdown here for the moment. I would rather wait for this one. I'm also feeling a little bit more. It's going to take that high. I'm leaning towards the side that it's going to take that high based on probabilities. So yes, it can still chop here, chop here, chop here. Okay. Now that for me will be an interesting long. To at least go and claim that high. At least. Can it go higher to 72k? Yes, it can go higher, guys. But you know, I'm a technical trader. I take profits. If I'm in a long, I take profits when you hit resistance to the upside. Okay. The retracement is ABC, not WXY. Why do you say it's an ABC? Distant mus. That's what the. Wait, sorry. If retracement is ABC, not WXA, what labels to watch? Oh. If retracement is ABC, not WXY. Well, after. Guys, it just doesn't look like an ABC to me. That is a ABC. I agree. That is a ABC. I'm trying to mark it as a correct. That is a ABC, because the ABC is you have a 3, 5, 3, a 3, 3, 5 ABC. Okay, and because A was a 3-wave structure, B needs to be a flat and C needs to be a 5-wave structure. And that played out perfectly. So that to me is an ABC. Now, after you have an ABC and price still continues, well, then it opens up the door to a W. And then maybe that was your X, okay, in a triangle. A, B, C, D, E. That's your X in a triangle. Very common. They happen all the time. X's forms triangle, and now you want to form a 3-wave structure in a Y. Now here is where it becomes interesting. I'm not saying it's going to go this deep, guys. I'm just drawing out the structure for you. Because you're talking about, okay, after you have a Y, now this is where it gets really, really boring. It can turn into an A if the range is going to continue. If it doesn't pump from here, it can turn into a A. And what I mean by that is it can now say A, B, C. It can still turn into a larger range. W, X, Y in A, 3-wave structure in B, 5-wave structure in C. And now you can get even more crazy. That can also form a W. And that's how you form bigger ranges that gets boring. It just connects to each other the whole time. Okay. This forms an X. This forms a Y. You guys can see it can still, price can still go sideways. It's not to say that it has to stop here and just, woo, here we go, here we go. It presents an opportunity. Definitely it presents an opportunity, but this can still get very boring. And then guess what you have? Once all of this monstrosity forms over here, okay, the scenario that I wanted to share is you could still form a triangle here. You have an A, a B, C, D, E, and price falls down. That's what still can happen over here. And basically you have formed and I've got it here in the folders, guys. Basically this can be your W, your X, and your Y. Y finishing up in a triangle. Okay, so this can still get boring. Can really still get boring. I know everyone's excited. We got the pump to the upside. Okay, something that I personally don't like. Let me just clean up the chart. What I like to see, okay, and this is what happens, what I see most common, is that I would have liked to see, in that move, I would have liked to see higher volume. That's what I would have liked to see. It's not an invalidation because the average volume is higher than this volume. So it's okay. You can classify that as a third wave. But for me personally, to give me confidence that this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, I would have wanted to see a candle like that. And I can almost guarantee you guys, if there was a candle like that, it would have most probably done that, because that's what I see most often. And the fact that it made high volume, but it failed to get a high volume candle to push to the upside. Well, now we are forming a bigger range. I want to see if I can find an example. Yes, example. Perfect example. Let's go. We can stay here on the 1 hour time frame. This is what I like to see. Beautiful example. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2. 3. That's what I wanted to see. 4, 5, 4, 5. Shorting opportunity. I got into the short there. I missed this for some reason. I don't know. I can't remember what I was doing. Maybe at the gym doing something. Okay. But I got into this short because I saw this structure as an impulse. I saw this as a correction. And that is I literally jumped into a short at that pivot. But now you can see this is most common what happens in a nested 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now you have this. So I'm just saying, guys, for me personally, I don't like it. And this is why I am looking at this structure as a corrective structure. Maybe it's going to form a larger triangle. But to form a 4 over here and a 5, 4, 5 just doesn't seem likely for me technically anymore. It's not invalidated. It just doesn't look great. Okay. Remember, guys, to smash up that like button. I always talk about the community, the updates that I'm giving inside of the community. If you want to be part of the community, DM me the word access on Telegram. Follow the instructions and we'll sort you out and see you in the, maybe I'll see you inside. I think people are having fun inside of the community. Okay, but today so far has just not been a trading day. I think the trading opportunity is coming. It's coming. But I need price to come to my area of interest. It's still not there yet. I'm still not convinced. Okay. One thing that I do want to point out, okay? This is education, guys. But it's how I'm going to approach this trade. Okay? Let's zoom into this structure. I'm trying to get to the higher time frame structures to show you guys what can play out here, but this is now where the action is happening. Okay, what I like to see from a D-line perspective, from a trend perspective, what I like to see, okay, is when the structure, I'm not even sure if I should tell you guys this. Here we go. When the structure forms a 3-wave structure, okay, it should not do that. Mustn't do that. Okay. It must do this. It must do this. And as soon as price comes back up and it overlaps that pivot and it breaks the trend, these are my favorite D-line trades to trade. My favorite. And 9 out of 10 times they take the high. 9 out of 10 times they take the high. I can go a little bit more technical and explain it to you because any 3-wave structure is a corrective structure. And when you have a 3-wave structure to the downside, there's always a high chance you're going to take that high. But if it does that, and now you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, and then it breaks out, it usually makes a lower high and it falls to the downside. And you've all seen this before. Oh, I caught it. I was in profit. Oh, crap. I got stopped out. And this is how I'm going to approach this potential trade that is here. If it remains a 3-wave structure, there's going to be a nice little long year to the upside. Okay. want to see if I can see an example. I mean, look at this. Okay. 1, 2, 3. There's an example. You have a 3-wave structure to the downside. Broke out. Okay. Same thing here. 1, 2, 3. Breakout, took the high. Can you guys see how powerful when you look at the structures? You don't even have to know Elliott wave theory. I'm trying to explain it to you in a way that makes sense without knowing Elliott wave theory. Whenever you have a trend and you see a zigzag, a lightning bolt, a little lightning bolt, okay, you see that? That is where the D line becomes the most interesting for me to play the breakout. When I see this, when I see that, a double lightning, call it, you know, for sake of simplicity, I will still play the breakout, but I will be way more aggressive with profit taking. So usually what I do when I see this, okay, and let's say that's your trend, you're playing the breakout, okay, price breaks out, I put my stop loss, I will literally profits. As soon as you start hitting profit, you know, I try and TP myself out of the position as quickly as possible. Maybe I'll leave 5% to go and claim that high, maybe, but it's not my favorite D lines to trade when I see 5 waves to the downside, guys. And this was an educational bomb, okay, that's going to help a lot of people, because this is what I share inside of my trading course. Okay, this is juicy alpha. Right, so that's basically what I'm looking for right now. So remember to smash up that like button. I don't care how low that goes. I don't care how low it goes. Let it go. Let it go. As soon as it comes back up, now this becomes interesting, because this is a 3-wave structure. And especially if it starts overlapping with that pivot. And often what I will sometimes do is I will wait until it overlaps before I attempt the long, if I'm playing this strategy. One of my other favorite strategies is to play swing failure patterns. So often what happens is I catch the low and I don't have to worry about the long over there. So that's the benefit of knowing multiple trading strategies. Remember to smash up that like button if you guys do enjoy the education, the content over here. And this is how I jumped into this long. Okay, guys, this was an epic long because that was a swing failure trade. This was not a breakout trade. I could have played the breakout. Yeah, there was a D line. I could have played that breakout, but I knew high probability to sweep the liquidity over there. Also, when you take a fib, okay, when you take a fib from the low to the high, you drag it across, 786. Also, harmonic pattern. Do I still have that harmonic here? Did I delete it? Harmonic. Here we go. I knew that this can happen. Yes, this wing is very extended, but from a timing perspective, it's not invalidated. I know Osren, I'm not sure if he's here in the live stream. He pointed out this harmonic to me because I also teach this inside of my course. Okay. That becomes interesting. As soon as you see that lower high, that becomes interesting. Then you know that there could be a harmonic in play. Okay, then I take a time fib from this wing to the middle and I measure how long this takes in time. This was still within the range where it can definitely bounce. Harmonic patterns are also known as reversal patterns. Okay, so there's a chance that price reverses and takes out the high. There's a chance that it can do that because they're also known for reversal patterns, but the minimum profit taking area was already smashed for this harmonic pattern. Okay, the minimum profit taking area is usually, if you don't know how to trade harmonics, you might be thinking, what on earth is Devil drawing here on the chart? Okay, your minimum profit taking area or your first profit taking area when you are a harmonic trader is the 618. So people that trade harmonic patterns, they will enter there and sometimes even close their positions at the 618, because that's the first TP area. Then that becomes TP2 and that becomes TP3. That's how you trade harmonic patterns. So I don't think I closed my trade at a bad spot. Okay, I don't think I closed it at a bad. Yes, if it continues, let it go, right? But this trade was a SFP trade. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 contracting diagonal. Structure is coming to an end. I was also looking at this, that this can be an A, B, and then this is your C wave here to the downside, showing signs of exhaustion. Okay, I guided the community every step of the way through this. I showed everyone, wow, massive bearish CVD. As price made this low, there was massive bearish CVD building up. Do you guys remember? Let's go to the 5 minute. There we go. As price was pushing up here against these pivots, do you see those the little lower highs? Look at this. Massive bearish CVD. Lower highs on price, higher highs on CVD, increasing the probabilities of taking that low. So I was waiting through all of this. I was waiting. I was just like, if it claims this low and it taps the 786 and it gets acceptance back above, I'm in. I'm ready. I'm ready. And I got in. And I know a lot of community members took this trade as well. Made some nice profits to the upside. Beautiful trade. I mean, it literally tapped that 786 to perfection. What a beautiful trade. Okay, look at that. 786 to perfection. Got there was a daily level. I remember, yes, there was a daily level there as well. So guys, I know I'm hammering about this trade here at the moment, but just want to show you, well, how did I get into that trade? Okay, it was a high probability trade for me. The next high probability trade is this one. Just keeping it simple, because you can see, even if you traded this one, well, you know where to put your stop loss. When price hits resistance, you start taking profits. Okay. That was also just using the D line, waiting for confirmation. You don't care what price does here, because price could have continued. And then you're like, thank goodness I didn't, try and build a position in the zone. This is why I don't build positions anymore, because you could be a trader that says, okay, I'm going to add a little bit. Price falls down. I'm going to add a little bit. Price falls down. Damn it, should I still add? Okay, and the nerve starts to kick in. It's just a trading strategy, guys. It's, there's a trading strategy. You follow the rules. And that's what kept me profitable. This was my first profitable trading strategy, the D line. This was my first profitable trading strategy. I did not even know how to spell Elliott wave theory when I mastered this trading strategy. And this is all I used to trade. And I only took maybe 2 trades a month. That's it. Because I traded the 1 hour time frame. Okay, we're SFPing off this 0.5 retracement. Let's check what is happening here, guys. Let's take this out. I want to do just a couple of fib pools here. I want to take one from the low to the high. Okay. Then I want to... Yeah, guys, if we claim the 0.618... yeah, not going to look good for the bulls. Yes, you can still go claim the high, okay, but it's not going to look good for the bulls. Okay, guys, and maybe this is the simplicity of it. That is your simplicity. You lose trend, you fall down. That is why I always tell people, track the momentum. Wait for momentum to start shifting. Okay, in an impulse from a simplicity perspective, you know, I go on about channeling, and you know, the from the low to the high of 2, you have to put your channel, you know, simple. You have a trend that connects, you lose it, 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5 becomes very low probability. What does become high probability still is to at least take out the high one more time. But for a double 1 2, it's not looking great anymore. It now looks better as a W X Y, A B C in Y. You take out the high and you fall down again. That is now starting to carry higher probability, and we are almost tapping, or going to tap, the invalidation for a fourth wave. Fourth wave, you do not want to see the 0.618 claimed. Hard invalidation is claiming, okay, is this. Let me drag my magnet. There we go. Basically, that's your hard invalidation. Your wave 4 is not allowed to enter the territory of 1. Okay, but it's very extremely rare, and that's also why I even call it an invalidation. And you know, shout out to Koens. Koens taught me this. Most of my Elliott wave knowledge I learned from Koens, and I'm not, what's the right word? I'm happy to admit that I've learned a lot of Elliott wave theory from Koen. Okay, I started with Elliott wave theory, and I learned and I struggled with the corrective structures, like what the hell is a WXY, the targets, the Fibonacci targets. And then I stumbled upon Koens's channel one day. My brother actually introduced me to him. Yes, Dewald, did you see this guy's Elliott wave theory? I didn't know you get WXYs. I just thought you get ABCs. And that's why I started checking out Koen on his channel, and I belong to his community, but I specifically belong to his community. And although I was profitable as a trader using my trading strategies, I wanted to understand how the market moves from a structural perspective. And Koen taught me a lot about what I know today from an Elliott wave perspective. I'm not happy to give Koen credit where he deserves credit. And I'm sure a lot of you guys know Koen as well. Koens Trading sent me, yeah, you told me you are a legendary educator, Mr. Mark Dutch. If I'm not mistaken, Mark is also a moderator on Koens's channel. Koens is an absolute legend when it comes to Elliott wave theory, even way better than me. Okay, Koens is way better than me from Elliott wave perspective, but what I do know keeps me profitable as a trader. And I've learned from Koen, the 0.886, okay, increases the probabilities of taking the low. 0.618 invalidation for a fourth wave. A WXY gives you a A, can't give you a W. Like those things Koen taught me. Okay, and obviously the website as well, guys. I've also learned a lot from this website. Okay, it wasn't just Koen. I can't give him all the credit, but Koen did introduce me to this website. Okay, this is where I studied like a crazy person. I also bought Robert Prachter's Elliott wave book. There I studied. Okay, it's not easy, guys. Elliott wave theory is not easy, and I think this is why a lot of people diss Elliott wave theory. This is why a lot of people say Elliott wave theory is BS, because it's too difficult to understand. They don't understand it. Or they're too lazy to study it, because this takes some serious practice. And I think that's where I actually learned it the quickest, was through practicing. Because you can look at the picture here and you can say, oh, Lord, nice. Diagonal. Leading diagonal. Well, I don't know why it's lagging like that. Okay, but now you can see you get 3 waves in 1, 3 waves in 2, 3 waves. Okay. Oh, contracting diagonal. What is this? Extend. Anyways, they show you everything here. Okay, I used the website. I have Robert Prachter's book. Koens showed me a lot as well. Mark, welcome to the live stream, man. Great to see you here. Always appreciate you. Okay. Amazing. Thank you, Devil. Do you see nearly perfect inverse head and shoulders on the 15-minute? Head and shoulders on the 15-minute. Yeah, Kunz is a clever guy. Yes, guys. I need to give Kunz a shout out. He's really taught me a lot from an Elliott wave perspective, and I cannot for one moment sit here and say, guys, I just did it all by myself. No, I had help along the way, and Kunz took a couple of years to practice it and understand it, and then he started his YouTube channel, and then I saw Kunz, and I was like, whoa, this guy knows what he's talking about. I need to learn from him. And I think what makes Kunz so great is that he has a teaching skill. So he knows how to teach so that you understand. Where some people, when they do Elliott wave theory, you can see they know what they are talking about, but they struggle to get the knowledge across. They struggle to get people to understand what they're trying to say. Okay, and this is also why I started my channel, because I also thought to myself, how can I combine Elliott wave theory that is so complex with something as simple as a trend line? So I combine my Elliott wave theory with my trading strategy to show you how I trade using Elliott wave theory with a simple trading strategy. A simple trading strategy is if you form a three-wave structure and you overlap that pivot, there's a high chance you take the high. So I used to trade these trend lines like crazy, but now I know from an Elliott wave perspective, if I see that, the probabilities increase to take profits, more profits at the highs. If I see the 4-5, I will still trade it, be more aggressive with profit taking. So Elliott wave theory has basically taken my trading strategies and put them on steroids. I'm not an Elliott wave trader per se. I use Elliott wave in combination with my trading strategies. Yeah. You are a good teacher too. Thank you so much. I really try my best to explain it so that it makes sense, you know, and this is sometimes also why I repeat myself, because I know, you know, you need to hear it. You need to hear it again. You need to hear that I've told you, and then I need to tell you that I've told you again. Okay, and that's how you absorb information. Dewald is one of the best educators in the crypto space. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. Did it hit invalidation? Not yet. We did not tap invalidation yet. But I can tell you guys now, based on the volume, yeah, to the downside, okay, it really decreases the probabilities of forming 545 to the upside. The door is still very much open to at least claim this high. If this remains a three-wave structure, it breaks out, it can still claim that high. And then what you have is a three-wave structure in a W. Okay, now it gets complex. Correction in an X, and you form a Y. A, B, C. This move to the upside has to be a five-wave impulse, five-wave structure. So it's actually great that this can be a B wave, because a B wave has to be a three-wave structure. Guys, we also need to talk about the most bearish case scenario. What if it doesn't break out? Well, then I need to invalidate. Guys, this is already there. We just tapped the invalidation now. Okay, I'm not even looking at an impulse anymore. And this is how I can use Elliott wave theory to determine probabilities. So yes, it can still go and claim the high, but there's also that ugly scenario where what if this was your W, X, and then maybe inside of this structure you have a three-wave structure. It's not pretty, but maybe this is your X, Y that ended there. The only problem I have with Y ending there is that you need to count this, okay, as a three-wave structure, and it looks very impulsive. But there's a chance that you have a W, X, Y, A, B, C inside of this structure somewhere, and now it's going to start breaking down. We have to talk about that scenario. That's what I'm saying, guys. If I do not see what I want to see over here, I ain't taking the long. I'm not taking the long, because I know not high probability for the structure to come to an end over here. It makes more sense to at least get another bounce to the upside, then fall down. That makes more sense to me technically. But if it does, well, then I'm going to have to just roll over and say, even Kunz likes to use these words just to say, sometimes it just is what it is. Okay, sometimes it just is what it is. But I need to see a sign of strength before I'm going to jump into the trade. Okay. I just want to see something here. Yeah, that one makes more sense to me. I do like this 1-to-1 extension. Okay. That pivot, the 786, I know, very common. So maybe, yeah, you still need to form your A, your B, your C. Then I'll be very interested. 3-wave structure. Okay, but as soon as you get overlap there, that's what I want to see. I want to see overlap, because that usually gives you a higher probability that whatever is forming here is still corrective and you can go and take out the high. Sorry guys, I haven't spent a lot of time on the larger time frames, but I think this is the most interesting structure. I have just seen too many people turn very bullish very quickly. I see thumbnails all of a sudden of saying top pick altcoins for March. I'm not going to mention any names. When people turn bullish too quickly, you're most probably going to fall again. Okay. Yes, I agree. But I'm not considering an impulse anymore. So what I mean is, yes, I agree with you. You can still take out that high. All I will do is I will move Y over there. That's the only thing that I'm doing. So if price, because I agree with you, this still looks very, for now, this looks very corrective to the downside. This still looks very corrective. And if price comes back up and it overlaps, even more corrective. But I can take advantage of this trade. I know where to enter. I know where to put my stop loss. I know where to take profits. Because this can still be a W, X, Y, A, B, C in Y. Very interested in a short. I'm way more interested in the short than actually the long. Because the short can be a much bigger move. I'm more interested in big moves. I don't like to scalp anymore. I used to, but I don't have to scalp anymore. Okay, I've built my portfolio, and I'm so grateful that I've been able to do that. I've built my portfolio to a size where I don't have to scalp. I don't have to. I can take one trade a month. I can literally stare at the chart, put my alarms and say, this looks to me like the highest probable trade for the month, and I'm set. Because I've been lucky enough to have built my portfolio to a size where I only have to take one trade a month. And then I can wait for the highest probable trade. I don't have to trade every day. I can if I want, but I don't have to. Okay. And I'm not bragging, guys. I'm just saying it's taken a lot of work to get there. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of trades that I have taken to get to the point where I am today. And if you are, if you put your heart and your soul into this and you can master your mind, because I think this was the most difficult thing. It wasn't the technicals. You think Elliott wave theory is difficult? You are your own worst enemy. You have to master yourself. Hi, Devil. Follow you a long time already and taking the tips you give. I don't trade Elliott wave myself. Could you tell me how you count? How I count? Which structure? I'm not sure I understand. Ed? Beginner. Okay. Elliott wave theory is not going to be able to for me to explain here on this live stream. That's at least 6, 8 hours, 9 hours that I need to go through in order to teach you all the structures properly. Yeah, I think what I want to do for the community, guys, keep an eye. If you're in the community, guys, and if you want to be part of the community, okay, DM me the word access. Yeah, on Telegram, there's the link. If you want to be part of the community, follow the instructions and I'll give you access. Okay, but what I'm planning to do, I've just been so busy the last month, but what I want to do is there's a couple of more modules I want to include inside of my trading course. And I want to record those modules live with the community. That's an idea that I came up with, because when I record to myself, I find it some reason boring and difficult. I make mistakes, I start over. But when I speak to an audience, I tend to zone in. And so I thought I'm going to give it a try. The next couple of modules that I'm going to record for the master section inside of my course, I'm going to do it live with the community so that I feel that I'm teaching someone and I'm not just talking to myself. Maybe that's the problem. I need to feel that I'm teaching someone and not just talking to the screen and the camera over here. So that's something that I'm planning to do. So if you're in the community, watch out, that is coming. Professor, are you planning any trade now after invalidation? Yeah, guys, I generally don't like to trade while I'm live. I like to be focused. Okay, level that I am interested in is the 786 and the 121. I'm very interested in those two levels. So I want to see how price is going to react there. So remember, if this is your A, B, C, D, E, if that is E, this is, it still needs to, it's too short. It still needs to do this. So I want to see the A, I want to see the B, and I want to see the C. I want to see a three-wave structure form, because that gives you a Y. A three-wave structure gives you a Y. Then you have a W, you have an X in a triangle, and you have a 1, 2, 3. So this level and that level, actually this one based on the structure, looks the best for me. So guys, for me, I sit on my hands until I see what I want to see. And then I have the trend as a backup. Okay. So if price, for example, comes up here, overlaps, and it breaks out, I will consider a long, because maybe the correction came to an end over there and this is your ABC. That's your three-wave structure. Maybe I counted it incorrectly. I cannot just rely on Elliott wave theory. Okay, so if I miss the trade from a swing failure perspective, I will consider whether I want to play this long. And this is why I always have my trends, because that's my front running. That's my, oh crap, I miscounted, but I can still get into the trade using this strategy with good risk management. Super cycle just started. Guys, I think maybe I'll leave that for tomorrow's live stream. How long have we been live? An hour and 40 minutes already. Remember to smash up that like button if you haven't done so already. And yeah, I want to go. I wanted to show you guys here something on the NASDAQ just quickly. Okay, you have resistance above, and we all know the correlation, specifically from a bearish perspective. It's not looking great for the NASDAQ here at the moment. Okay, you have a little bit of a, what do you call it? An ascending. It's a bear flag, guys. It's a bearish structure. I don't care what you call the damn structure. It's a bearish structure. Okay. Any structure, this is what I've learned over the years, any structures that shapes to the upside, whether it's a this or whether it's a this, you know, it goes to the upside, has a higher probability of breaking down. Okay. You have resistance at the top. You are trading below the point of control, and you are making lower highs. It's barely holding on here. It's barely holding on, and I think if it loses this trend, it's going to accelerate until it kicks in this low, these lows over here. Maybe it's going to get a bounce here. Maybe it gets the bounce, retests, continues. Okay. But this does not look good for risk on assets at the moment, like Bitcoin. Gold is actually showing strength. And we all know when gold shows strength, Bitcoin bleeds. Okay. Gold is actually incredible. You know, it formed this high volume node over here. It has the upsloping trend. It is forming higher highs and higher lows. Now that is way more bullish. You have a high volume node here, and it used to be resistance, resistance. It broke out. So that, ladies and gentlemen, for me is a buying opportunity to jump to join the train back to the upside. Okay, RS flip. It's currently trading above resistance, so it's doing an RS flip at the moment, flipping resistance into support. So when I see gold looking strong and I see the Nasdaq and the S&P 500 looking weak, and you correlate this back into the price of Bitcoin, it really does not look good for the bulls at the moment. It's just technically it looks bad. It really looks bad. And this is why this corrective structure is starting to carry higher probability as well. Yes, you can still get the leg up here. But, you know, guys, I'm not expecting an impulse anymore based on the 0.618 that was claimed. Can you please check CVD? Yes, yes, sir, I can. What is CVD doing? You've lost that pivot. It's still very neutral. At least it's not bearish. It's neutral at the moment. Very neutral. But what was interesting about CVD, and this is what I told the community, is that while we were doing this range over here, bearish CVD. So we spoke about a scenario in the community where we were looking at this. Well, what if this is A, B, C, D, E, and we break out? And I told everyone I don't like it. Okay, because of that, it's a three-wave structure, and also you're building up bearish CVD and you're expecting a breakout to the upside. I just don't like it. It makes more sense for me to have a three-wave structure. Okay, a triangle in a X, that makes more sense based on bearish CVD, and now you're forming your A, B, C here to the downside to complete Y. Now that makes more sense. Right, there you go. Check CVD. There we go. Why do you count retracements from there and not from the high? Oh, yeah, I know it gets confusing, guys. So let me explain it the simplest way that I can. Okay, when I'm looking at a structure, and I just want to take all the noise here out the chart. Okay, let's make sure that everything is switched off. Let's talk about the nested 1-2s. Here we go. Right. So when I look at the bullish structure, okay, so I'm looking at from this pivot to the high. Okay, and the question that you are asking is, why did I put my fib there? Because theoretically, you can do that, which is the safest way to do it. Okay, but from experience, I've learned that this is part of the correction. It's not part of the impulse. But then also, I give myself a little bit of breathing room to say that, well, when I take the fib from that pivot, it drags the 618 a little bit more down. So maybe there's still a chance to get this fifth wave here to the upside. But because that looks corrective, that's the easy answer. Because that looks corrective and that counts corrective, that's a three-wave structure. The impulse actually ended over here. So I prefer to take the fib from that high. But it doesn't matter, guys. From a simplicity perspective, you don't have to do it. Okay, you can like nothing wrong with doing that. It's just something that I've learned to do over the years. I'm just explaining to you why I do that, because I see this as corrective and I see that as the end of the impulse. But you can still take it from the low to the high just to keep it simple so that you don't get confused. And we have tapped the invalidation if you use those two pivots. Okay, is this a three-wave correction, fourth wave right now since the local low? No, I can't give it the highest probability anymore because of how deep and long this has become. Also from a channeling perspective, okay, because they teach you channeling and Elliott wave theory as well. Okay, there you go. This is just based on probabilities. You want your impulse, okay, to finish outside of that structure. So you want to see 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. It usually taps this middle line, the force. It usually taps the middle line. And now you have this. Now this decreases the probabilities for 4. And it increases the probabilities that this structure is corrective and it's not a 5-wave impulse anymore. So can you guys see that I do my technical analysis based on probabilities? So the structure shows me whether it's bearish or whether it's bullish. I can't, you know, guys, and I think this is what fascinates me about some of the YouTube influencers is I've seen these live streams today where people are just super bullish. And I can't help but think to myself, why? Based on what? Okay, you need confirmation. My confirmation was this. If this had to play out 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, did not tap the base of the channel, formed your triple top here to the upside, now the retracement becomes very interesting depending on how you retrace, but at least that is a sign that the bulls are starting to step in. That's your first, but you need that. So people are turning extremely bullish too soon. It's too soon to turn bullish. You have to see that before you can start turn bullish. It's too soon. Sorry guys, I get very passionate when I talk about it because I get angry that some people mislead their communities. I'm buying. These are my picks. I'm deploying, you know, buying these alts. I'm just like, no. It's not time yet to get bullish. You have to let the structure show you that it wants to be bullish. You know, guys, I wait for confirmation. This would have been my confirmation to turn bullish. Because yes, it's a great shorting opportunity, and make no mistake, if price came there, I would have shorted the living daylights out of it, okay? But it's the retracement that becomes interesting, because after a 5-wave move, there's always the opportunity for a 3-wave correction and continuation back to the upside. But now price stopped in a 3-wave structure. Price stopped in a 3-wave structure, and now it lost the channel. I cannot tell people that I'm buying altcoins and yeah, I'm not even going to go down that road. I want to see confirmation first. Okay, that actually needs to do that, by the way. You want to see that. So it's this scenario is not looking great, guys. Can it still play out? Low probability. Market easier to surprise us. Okay, the highest probable scenario, if price does continue here to the upside, is to at least maybe claim this high once again. So maybe it does that. Okay, maybe rejects there or here against the base channel, and then it falls down. How often have you seen a trend break out? Okay, where do people, you know, and this is usually the funny part for me, is that if you're a trend line trader, okay, and you're still new, you're still learning how to trade, okay, this will be your trading setup. Short, that will be your trading setup. Okay, you put your stop above the highs and you're targeting the lows. Okay, that's your trading setup. Then what happens is price loses the trend, so you enter. Great. Okay, price comes back up, stops you out, it retests the trend, and then it falls down. So I am ready for that. And then that is a W, X, Y. A, B, C in a Y wave. Okay. What else? What else? Phew. Sorry, guys. I'm stuffing around on the top comments. I see there's so many comments streaming in. Thanks for joining the live stream. Really appreciate it. I have unfortunately run out of time, guys. I'm not sure whether Andy is going to be back to tomorrow. So maybe you'll see my pretty face again tomorrow. Okay. And but I hope you've enjoyed the session. I love to educate. I get really passionate about it. Okay. And I hope you enjoy it too. You're learning together here with me. You enjoy being on the channel. You're always taking little nuggets away, applying it as part of your own trading strategy. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you. Have yourselves an amazing day. I will be active inside of the community. Remember, if you want to be part of the community, DM me the word access on Telegram. Link down in the description. Until the next one, cheers for now.